It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I am so excited for today's interview. I am going to introduce our listeners to what I consider a dear friend. Rebecca Hall Gruyter is the CEO of RHG Media Productions and the founder of Your Purpose-Driven Practice. She's a global influencer, a #1 internationally best-selling author, a publisher who has helped over 1,000 authors become bestsellers. And yes, my 2 books, Best of the Best and Bar to the Boardroom, are in that 1,000 and more. A radio show host, an empower leader, creator. She has established a signature bestseller launch program. She's contributed to over 40 books. I don't know when Rebecca sleeps, to be all honest with you, because I can go on and on. She's been contributor to Huffington Post and ABC and CBS. She is a woman who says yes, makes a difference, and I'm going to do my personal, stands by her people so much. So Rebecca, thank you for joining me here today on Her Success Story. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I am so honored to be here. It's always a joy to connect with you, and I'm excited to connect with all of your audience here and see where the conversation goes.
Let's start at the beginning. How did this whole thing start? How did you start a publishing company supporting other authors in a variety of ways? Where did this all start and where did this come from?
Sure. It was not my original intent in the world to step forward and do this. My original heart desire was I wanted people to know that they mattered, that they're needed in the world, that nobody is just like them, that they're beautifully, wonderfully made. And what I discovered, as much as I felt that deeply, deeply, deeply in my heart, it wasn't going to happen by osmosis.
No, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And I was really shy. I was really resistant to sharing my story. It was not a happy story. It was uncomfortable. It was vulnerable. I preferred to kind of stand in the background and just really feel these things deeply and wanted people to know. And I discovered that I had to be willing to be visible in order to have that impact. I had to be willing to share my story, to trust people with it if I wanted them to trust me with their story and their journey.
That is so hard. I'm just going to say, when I first started, I know you were one of the people behind me of being real and authentic and getting it out there and being vulnerable that way. It's not easy.
It isn't. And all your protective stuff comes up and you get to navigate through all of that. But what I found when I first stepped forward, I started as a speaker on the stage and sharing in that way. I found when I could just stop and breathe, I made a deal with myself. If I needed to walk off the stage, I would, to keep myself safe. So I had a deal there. And I would always, in the beginning, eye the exit. Like the most graceful way I could literally walk off the stage if I needed to and leave gracefully and quickly. I haven't had to walk off stage to this date. And I found that first time I shared my story, as terrifying and messy as it was, my heart came through. And that's what people hear. They don't hear all the words. They don't hear necessarily the core messages. They feel your energy and the intent from which you speak. And so I shared, I was a little bit out of body as I shared, and it felt like it went on forever. It was only 7 to 10 minutes that first time. Got a standing ovation I never saw as I shared my story. And the thing that gave me the courage to step forward, and this gave me the courage in telling my story and writing books and all of those steps, was I knew there was somebody in that audience, someone in that room that needed what I had to say. And that was enough for me. I was willing to be messy. I was willing to be imperfect. I was willing to trust people and navigate through that if it could make a difference for another. If another person could be impacted in a positive way, move forward, and it could make a difference, that was worth it to me. And so I did. And I must have said that somewhere in the presentation, because when I got off the stage, there was this lineup of men and women that shared with me how they had been impacted and touched, and one person after the other. And they go, I was the one. How did you know? I was the one. How did you know? You knew I needed this today. Thank you. And then the conversation started to shift and they started to say, Rebecca, I could tell you were scared. So apparently I didn't mask it very well. They could see it. And
They
I
can see the knees wobbling.
yeah, the knees wobbling, the voice shaking. I turn purple, not red. I go straight to purple. So all of that comes through. And yet they still heard my heart and they still heard my message. And they said, I could tell you were scared, but you cared enough to do it anyway. That inspires me to do this. And I heard story after story. So what I learned that day is I did not have to be perfect. I just had to be willing to take that step. And it's okay to be scared. And every step has led to the next. And that original saying yes to that calling, to sharing my heart, to wanting people to know how needed they are in the world, being willing to trust them with my journey in discovering that. Every step led to the next. After that, I had several different radio shows. I got to be part of different books, and they came forward and became bestsellers and beyond. And that opened so many doors. A radio show host, which I've been doing, I believe, 11 years now, 11 every week.
A radio show a long time.
It's been a long time. And I made a deal with God. I didn't even start with this. So I made a deal with God when he was calling me to start sharing my story. I said no. I gave him a list of all the other people who are way more qualified. And
there's always so many more people more qualified than us. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it? Here, they can do it better. And it kept coming forward, 9 months I wrestled with this. And I finally said, okay, God, here's the deal. I'll do this mean, hard, horrible thing you're asking me to do of telling my story if it can make a difference for another. And I don't have to be on radio, television, nothing with books. I don't want to speak to more than 50 people at a time. And I don't want to be filmed or recorded. I'll use a microphone. I had all these boundaries and contingencies, and he was silent. And I came back and I said, God, I said, yes, you've been harassing me for 9 months, playing this over and over in my mind that my story can make a difference. And finally he came back and he said, it's a yes or no question. Will you go and share what I ask you to share or not? They're not boundaries. They're not contingencies. It's all or nothing. It is your choice. Say yes. And I did. And that led to being on that stage. And it led to continuing to say yes. And all those things I hoped I never have to do. I was terrified of because I was trying to stay safe are all the things I get to do now and I love. And I'm so glad I wasn't limited in that way.
We lay out our expectations. Like, yes, I'll do this as long as, and I could say when I started Slater Success, like with blinders on, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working and it wasn't working. And there's been numerous times I have a vision of how something's going to work and it doesn't necessarily work that way. The launch of the best. I had a specific, this is how it happened last time. This is how it went down. At this hour, this happens. At this hour, this happens. And it didn't work that way. And I was like, Rebecca, what am I doing wrong? This is how it happens. And you're like, not always. It all and you talked me through and you held space for me. And when we hit bestseller and we hit the international bestseller, it wasn't at the hours I decided it was supposed to be, shockingly enough, right? And you were with me every step of the way, and you were with me to debrief, and you were with me to talk it through and to navigate it. And I think we so often show up with how we want to see things. And having great team around us, and you were part of my great team, having great team around us that holds the space for us to receive things as they're going down and continue to navigate it forward to that success is so important. In the companies you've built, because I know you have built great team, what have you learned about building your own teams?
That usually by the time you recognize you need a team and support, you're a little bit past when you do.
have an expression that goes higher forward, not when you need it.
Yeah, and I think it's sometimes we think it's a sometimes for me, I'll think it's a busy season and not take a step back and really see the bigger picture and the trends and how things are going. And I've also learned in building teams that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can step into it a step at a time. The very first company I built and was part of, I set aside, okay, I can get $100 of support. So I'd get $100 of support. Then I would set aside, okay, I can do $200 of support. And I started to build the team that way. And then what I could do consistently, then I could bring on more and getting better and better all the time at looking at what can I delegate? Where can I really stand in my brilliance? And who and what are the types of things I need that can help us do even more and have a bigger impact? And I look for people that are different than me because I don't necessarily need the exact same skill set I have. I
Right.
need additional brilliant skill sets that can complement what we're looking to do in the world, different personalities, different perspectives, even different parts of the world, because that brings a global perspective that can help us reach more people.
What has surprised you over this time? In the years you've been doing this and you have shifted and changed, and I admire so how you have navigated and met your audience, your clients where they are. But what, as a woman, as a leader, what has surprised you?
Surprised me, I think what I get to keep learning all the time, so it surprises me less. But I love it that I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to have it all figured out. I can listen to the people I'm called to serve and see what they are needing, see what I see out in the world. I'm open to having conversations with other amazing leaders and experts out there that have a similar heartbeat to mine of what we're looking to do in the world, that we want to help people be seen. We want them to bring their messages forward and have the way to do that in a changing environment in the world that we get to navigate. And so I'm always open to those conversations. And I think what I get surprised by is I never know where that amazing connection or insight is going to come from, or the comment a client is going to share. And like, oh, that finally clicks everything into place. This is how we can bring that forward. So I get to always be surprised at new and amazing ways that we get to continue to serve. And continuing to be open, even in the busy seasons, being open to having those real conversations and taking that feedback in, taking that I'm looking for this or I need that, and making those connections helps us continue to navigate and serve more people.
If you would share a tip or a piece of advice, you've owned this company a long time. You've done a variety of things with it in a lot of
Sure.
different ways. I think one of pieces of your brilliance, Rebecca, is how you lean into what is current as the world and business evolves and continues to evolve, not just with it, but ahead of the curve.
I really believe it goes back to those questions. And I do spend time, and this is actually a practice that has really helped me deeply. I spend time every day pausing, praying, listening, reflecting, seeing what's coming up. Because the thing that can limit us, here's what I've discovered, it's nothing outside. It's not a change in the environment. It's not a change in the global world. It's not pandemic. It's not the things that come at us. It's ourselves. That's what I have found has been the limiting factor. So when I find I'm feeling limited or I'm not having the impact or I feel like I'm pushing against a wall, like if I could just get past this, why can't I make this next step or connection? When I stop and drop in, I have more clarity and I can see what is it I need to release? Maybe it's a belief.
Hmm.
What is it I need to take in? Who do I need to become? What do we need as an organization to go where we're wanting to go? And who maybe I don't know. So who do I need to talk to? What do I need to discover? What can help us? And it opens myself up to what could be. And stepping back, I'm not as caught up in the day-to-day stuff. I'm able to step back, creating that practice and look at things. Okay, this is where we are. Where do we want to go? What are we seeing? What do we need to learn and discover to move in that direction? I think those are the things that really help. And then I'll make a list of who I need to talk to, even if I don't always know why. And I'll reach out and I'll have those conversations, or I'll say, hey, I'm looking to learn this. Or our new team member we brought on, I think it's been about a month and a half. I said, okay, I'm trying to figure this out. Can you do research on these? Give me the top 3 to 5 things that can help do this. And then maybe some videos that can help me learn, like fast track some tips in navigating that. So it's like, I don't need to know it all, but I have to be willing to ask questions, to explore, and to be willing to not just do what I've always done that I'm comfortable doing and familiar with, but step into the spaces I'm less comfortable in.
As we continue to step into the spaces that we're uncomfortable, I think sometimes the conversation around how does your business grow? Because sometimes there's hesitancy in sales and hesitancy in taking the actions in that area. What has helped you? Where do you see your clients come from? What has helped you grow your business?
I'd say there are a couple responses to that. One, I had to get comfortable with sales conversations, which I was not. I used to have this picture of people who have a weird agenda, kind of slick, that are trying to help as what a salesperson was. And I never, ever wanted to be that. And I would do consultations and I would talk to people. And this started in my financial practice. That's where I learned a lot of these skills around sales conversations. And I wanted to give people good advice, but I never wanted them to feel sold to. And what I found happened is they weren't necessarily the expert to navigate through those choices. And I would spend this time giving them great information, but not actually sharing my advice based on that, just the information. And then they would try to figure it out. And I'd see them make decisions that were weird sometimes, or really didn't feel like were in their highest good, whether or not it was with me. And so what I learned is it was okay to share what I thought would help them the best.
Yeah.
And then it's their choice. And I wasn't attached to it being yes or no. I don't take it personally if they decide to work with me or not. But I felt I had a responsibility to give them good information and direction and do my expert best to help them navigate that. And then they could make the choice. But at least they would have good information, good direction to, I hope, move forward. I don't want them stuck. And that really helped me, not being attached to the yes or no, not taking it personally, and actually really saying what I thought as an expert would be best for them. They usually ask. And so I learned to share and just hold that ground in whatever direction they're looking to go. Here's the 3 key things to look at. Here's what we do. And here's how, if you decided to work with us, we could support you. And then give them time to make a decision. And I found that worked really, really well. And then there was a second part to that question you asked.
So I'm actually going to throw out the second part and ask,
Okay,
I know
perfect.
how busy you are. How do you manage your time? You have so much going on. And I think, we're always asking for tips and this and that and the other thing. It's like, okay, this is something I want to know. How do you manage your time in everything you do?
I'm very purposeful. I'm very
That goes back
aware.
to being the purpose driven. Right.
I'm very consistent with that.
Yes, you
Aligned.
are.
But I spend time making lists and prioritizing and shuffling that, because I learn as things ebb and flow. Sometimes different amounts of time are needed for different things. And I prioritize every day. I make a list, A, B, C, A are the top things that need to happen. But I also try to assign the amount of time, because I think we say, oh, so many things need to happen. And then we keep adding stuff to our plate, and eventually things fall off. The plate is only so big.
It's only fits so much.
And
Our
we have
calendars
to.
only fit so much. A day only fits so much.
Exactly. And the self-care is important in that. I used to lead a workshop series called Your Success Formula. I would draw a plate, and then they'd have this plate on their desk. And then they would go through with sticky notes and assign everything that they have to do this week. And they would put these sticky notes just all over the place. And I said, and did we include sleep? No, some more sticky notes come out. Did we include this? And then I would make them go back and they'd get really irritated about this and assign amount of time to each.
Right.
And I said, what about travel? There's no teleporting. What about making meals? What about actually saying hi to your family? And pretty soon they could see why they weren't getting everything done and feeling stressed. And then they had to go through and kind of prioritize. And the other thing I've learned, here's my extra credit bonus tip, leave room on the plate, plan on growth, expect the unexpected, expect a wonderful opportunity. And if everything is so tight and so filled, you can't say yes without things falling off your plate. So allow room. It feels good. You can still get all those things done. And then the other thing I do is I pay attention to where my energy is higher and lower. And so I try to do the things that take a little bit more energy and thought where my energy is higher. And when my energy is really low, instead of trying to push through, which we can do, I'm a pusher, instead of pushing through, I'm Rebecca Hall Gruyter, I can push. So instead of pushing through, I stop now and I go outside, even if it's for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'll notice a beautiful plant or I'll take a moment and just stop and appreciate a bird. I stop and reset, go out into nature a little bit. And I find that shifts my energy very quickly, taking a couple deep breaths, and I can move forward without pushing.
It happens to be so true. I tell everybody, and I try to practice what I preach here. When you hit that wall, when you're stuck, when you're not, as you transition from activity to activity, go out, get up, move. N of one move, get a breath of fresh air, walk around. If you work from home, walk around your house. If you're working from a building, get outside, walk around walk around the block, whatever it is, and then come back and you'll be more productive than if you just keep grinding and pushing. No, I don't have that 10 minutes. I can't lose that time. It's like, no, that time is going to come back to you in spades when you started fresh.
Yes.
And that's what I hear you saying.
Yes.
Rebecca, thank you for joining us today on Her Success Story. How can our listeners lean in, learn more about you, find out about all the fabulous things other than I gave this laundry list of all the things you do and somehow you get them done with grace, ease, and joy, I will say. How could they learn more and lean in and learn more about you?
I'd be honored to lean in and have a conversation. They can go to my website, which is yourpurposedrivenpractice.com, yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. All my contact information's on there, all the different things that we've touched on, you can learn more about. And my message that I'd love to share with each of you is that each of you are a gift. You have your own unique wiring and way that you're made. And the biggest gift you can give the world is more of you. Be willing to share that. That's what I believe makes a difference. So find that way, find those connections, lean into those conversations, and be willing to share your brilliance.
I love that. Rebecca, thank you for joining me here today on Her Success Story. Listeners, this is what I say at this point in the show. Take a deep breath in. Both Rebecca and I agree in taking that moment and taking a breath. Identify one takeaway from our conversation. I don't care if there was 10, identify one. Jot it down somewhere. And then make that decision of what you're going to do about it. Create an action for you. If you jump into Her Success Story every week and you identify one action you will take, I promise you, you will see forward motion. Our guests are brilliant leaders who always share true, transparent insight. And I know I always have a takeaway from their knowledge. So thank you for joining me here. If it was helpful today, take this episode, share it forward with your friends, hit subscribe. We'll see you next time with more great content, more great guests. And Rebecca, thank you for joining me.